English from A to Z.
And welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
You know, if you're like most English learners, you probably know the grammar for talking about the new year. Past tense, future tense, all that.
Right. But the conversation itself feels stiff, awkward.
Exactly. You need the conversational shortcut. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. So we took a really natural chat between two English speakers, Sarah and Mark, and we basically extracted all the best bits. We're not just going to tell you what they said.
No.
We're giving you the language blueprints, the actual toolkit you need for your own fluency.
And the real challenge, it's moving past those abstract grammar rules and into a conversation that has real tone, real feeling. And this source material, it's perfect because it structures the New Year chat how we actually do it. We talk about what we did, what we want to do.
And, of course, what we promised to do.
That's the one.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission is to turn this one single conversation into real confidence for you right now.
So we're going to start by looking back at New Year's Eve. And the biggest thing to notice here is just the power of a single word.
A single descriptive word.
Yeah. Instead of these long, rambling sentences, Sarah and Mark just use one adjective to signal the whole emotional tone of their night. It's so efficient.
Okay, so Sarah described her celebration as very quiet.
Quiet, right.
She stayed home with her family, they cooked a nice dinner, watched the TV countdown. You immediately get the picture from that one word.
You do. But then Mark chose a different word. He said his was cozy.
Cozy, I like that.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
He was at a small party at a friend's house, maybe a dozen people. They played card games, ate snacks. You see, quiet implies calm, maybe relaxation.
But cozy, that implies warmth and comfort.
And closeness. These adjectives are the fluency boosters you really need.
That's such a good point. It's not just about using any adjectives. It's about choosing the right one to give that emotional context. It saves you so much time explaining.
It really does. I mean, if you say your night was wild, I immediately know what you mean. I don't need all the details.
Right.
And then, after setting the mood, they use these really simple, specific verbs in the past tense. It creates this nice little story. Sarah watched the countdown, shouted, "Happy New Year," and hugged her family.
Very clear actions. And Mark went to a friend's house, played card games, and enjoyed the snacks.
See? Simple.
And I noticed those small details, too, like Sarah mentioned having sparkling juice because she was driving. That's such a real, relatable thing.
It is. And Mark said he had champagne, but he was more interested in the snacks. It's those little things that make a story good, not just a list of facts.
Okay, so let's pull out the key language from this part, the immediate swaps you can use.
Okay, first one. My New Year's Eve was very, and then you add your adjective. Quiet, cozy, exciting, low-key.
Good. And then maybe we had a big dinner or a big celebration where and then you add a past tense verb.
Perfect. And for the big moment, at midnight, we were, and then describe the ritual. We watched the countdown and shouted, something like that.
Okay, your turn. A quick application challenge. We want you to take one of those adjectives, quiet, cozy, exciting, and two of those action verbs like cooked, watched, or played. Put them together. Say it out loud right now.
Don't overthink it. Just let it flow.
Pause. Great. That flow between the adjective and the action, that's the secret sauce.
And that mood carries over, doesn't it? From New Year's Eve into New Year's Day. Mark kept that peaceful theme going.
Right. He woke up late, went for a long walk in the park.
Yeah, he said he enjoyed the fresh air, that everything was just peaceful.
Well, Sarah focused more on connection. The first thing she did was a sweet phone call to her parents.
And she specifically wished them health and happiness. So you see, the conversation isn't just about what you did. It's also about expressing these simple hopes for others.
Okay, so that shift from past to future. Linguistically, this is where it gets really interesting.
Because we stop describing what happened and we start sort of constructing possibilities. We get into goal setting.
Starting with the classic New Year's resolution.
Right. And in English conversation, a resolution is usually about self-improvement. It's a habit change. It's different from a plan, which is more about logistics.
And the grammar reflects that. Resolutions almost always use the infinitive form to do something.
We see that perfectly here. Mark's resolution is very specific. To read one book every month.
12 books this year. Very measurable.
And Sarah's is more practical, more domestic. To learn to cook 5 new meals.
One every 2 or 3 months.
See, to read, to learn. That little word to frames it as a commitment and action. It's not just some vague wish. So if you're talking about your resolution, that structure is your best friend. My resolution is to, and then the verb.
And I love how the conversation makes this feel so natural. Sarah immediately says Mark can be her taste tester. And then she jokes, if they're bad, we can always order pizza.
That's so important for fluency, right? That lighthearted way of managing expectations.
It's vital. It shows you're not taking yourself too seriously. So, okay, we got the language of commitment. Now let's look at the language of excitement and planning.
The more general dreams. This is where want to comes in, and that really useful phrase, looking forward to.
Yes. So Sarah's plans are about growth. She wants to travel more, maybe start gardening on her balcony.
Trying to grow tomatoes, specifically.
A noble goal. And Mark's plans need a bit more work. He wants to visit an old friend, Anna, who lives in another country.
So to do that, he's actively saving money for the plane ticket.
He has to. The logistics come first. He also wants to learn a new skill like making simple videos.
So here's the key linguistic insight for me. The difference between I want to, which is just a desire, and I'm really looking forward to it. That second one feels so much more certain, more excited.
It communicates confidence, anticipation. It just makes your conversation more alive. Definitely.
So think about your biggest, most certain plan for this year. We're going to challenge you again. Combine the plan with that language of enthusiasm. Say it out loud now.
I am planning to do something, and I'm really looking forward to the result. Go for it.
Pause in. Excellent.
Perfect. Whether you're making new meals or saving for a ticket, it's articulating that excitement that makes people want to listen.
Okay, so for our final section, we see Sarah and Mark do something really important. They use the new year to reflect deeply on the last 12 months.
Right, giving context for all their new goals. And this needs a bit more complex vocabulary than just the simple past tense.
It does. They talk about the best thing and the most difficult thing from the past year.
Mark's best thing was a vacation by the sea. He went alone, said it was really peaceful.
While Sarah's was totally different. Her best thing was finishing a big project at work, a professional achievement. She felt proud.
Two very different kinds of success. One is personal, solitude. The other is public, professional.
A great reminder of the range of experiences you can talk about. But we also have to talk about the difficult things. Mark's was just getting a bad cold for 2 weeks. An obstacle.
And Sarah's was more emotional. She had to say goodbye to her old car, which was a big change for her.
And this is where you can use slightly more advanced language. For example, Mark could have reflected using a conditional like, if I hadn't gotten sick, I could have started my reading resolution early.
Oh, that's a good structure. It adds a layer of sophistication. So this brings up a big question. How do we talk about our really ambitious hopes? The big stuff.
The dream plan, yes. This requires language that balances that big ambition with, practical reality.
So a dream plan isn't a resolution, it's a huge hope, something that might feel pretty far away.
Exactly. It might take multiple steps over a long time. Mark's dream was financial and long-term. To save money for a huge trip, maybe to another continent in the next 2 years.
And Sarah's dream. Well, it's the ultimate goal for pretty much everyone listening to this.
It really is. She said she wants to speak English more confidently, especially when I talk to native speakers.
Such a powerful goal, and I love that Mark reassured her, telling her she already spoke well. It shows that confidence is often the final piece of the puzzle.
It really is. And speaking of time, they use that great little phrase, time flies. It's the perfect way to wrap up a reflection on a whole year.
Okay, synthesis time. What does this whole conversation teach us about fluency?
Well, it shows that moving forward, whether it's reading a book a month or planning that big trip, it requires mastering the language to connect your past to your future. Small steps, like practicing just a few of these phrases, they lead to big changes.
And Sarah made a brilliant point for everyone listening. Write down your plans. Write down your resolutions. It's a fantastic way to practice your English and make these abstract ideas feel real.
Absolutely.
So what does this all mean? We've really tried to arm you with a complete conversational blueprint. You now have the tools to talk about the past with tone-setting adjectives, the near future with the commitment of to do something, and your biggest hopes with a dream plan.
And remember, confidence isn't about being perfect. It's built one phrase at a time. The source material ends with some really motivational language we should share.
Yeah, it does. Keep practicing, keep learning, and keep dreaming. The new year is full of possibilities.
And also, whether your plans are big or small, they are important.
They really are. Every plan is an opportunity to use your English in a dynamic way. Just focus on those blueprints we gave you. They'll boost your fluency right away.
And here's a final provocative thought for you to take away. This conversation shows that talking about the new year is really about, well, the entire range of human experience, from a cozy memory with friends to a huge, distant dream plan.
So think about your biggest dream right now.
And then find just one phrase we talked about today, maybe that I'm really looking forward to. And use it. Use it to make that dream sound just one step closer to being real. Say that phrase out loud one more time before you go.
That's all for this deep dive. We wish you a happy, healthy, and successful new year.
We'll see you next time. Take care and enjoy your year ahead.